for that road rage shooting that left 6-year-old Aiden Leos dead. Marcus Erez and Win Lee were arrested Sunday. Orange County DA Todd Spitzer believes he knows why the case has nationwide attention.
It's because it could have happened to any one of us. We all drive the freeways of Southern California. We've all gotten upset at other motorists. Other motorists have been upset at us.
Police have recovered the gun they believe was used in the shooting, as well as the vehicle the suspects were driving. It is still unclear what will happen to that $500,000 reward. LA County Sheriff Alex Villanueva wants all homeless encampments gone from Venice Beach Boardwalk by the 4th of July. He puts the blame for the growing issue in the area on LA City leaders, pointing out how the encampments stop at the Venice-Santa Monica border.
The Santa Monica decided they're going to regulate public space. LA City decided, well, we're not going to. And this is what you got to show for it.
Today, the sheriff will start sending deputies to patrol the encampments, which have been the source of increasing violence in recent months. A motorcyclist is under arrest after leading police on a high-speed chase that started in Norwalk and ended in Pasadena. The guy was driving without license plates and hit 130 miles per hour while wearing a T-shirt that said, "I don't stop for cops." He did stop to gas up once along the way, and eventually he was cornered in a parking structure, but not before leaving a note on his bike that said there was a bomb on it, forcing the bomb squad to respond. A new Gallup poll shows Americans are getting back to normal life. The poll shows fewer than 1 in 4 people are completely or mostly isolating from those outside their home. That's down from more than 75% in April of last year. Southland weather from KFI. Clouds and drizzle this morning, sunshine this afternoon. Temps will range from the mid-60s at the beaches, low 70 Metro LA and OC, upper 70s in the valleys and the IE. A little warmer on Wednesday. Right now, 61 in Cypress, Newport Coast 60, Torrance 61, and Encino 61 degrees. We lead local from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Phil Hewlett.
Making our way through Cerritos this morning, westbound 91 past Carmenita, wrecked with an overturned car on the embankment. Emergency crews are on the scene. They're blocking the 2 right lanes for a little gawkers block moving through. It's a full freeway closure in Burbank. Southbound side of the 5, all lanes shut down at Scott Road for a Caltrans project. Taking off there, you can get back on to Verdugo. And in Sun Valley, northbound 170 at Sheldon, wrecked with an overturned car on the off-ramp. CHP's on scene waiting on a tow truck. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Ryan Duggan.
Masks don't slow us down. They keep us moving. From the corner store to the coffee shop. On your bike. Or on the playground. Keep wearing a snug-fitting mask with multiple cloth layers. Together, we can end this pandemic. Visit covid19.ca.gov today to learn more. Brought to you by the Center at Sierra Health Foundation.
Creating lesson plans, meeting with parents, teaching after hours, working over summer break, adapting your classroom to be as safe as possible, or doing it all virtually.
Teachers, you've made every effort this year to put your students first. Now it's time to take care of you too. Roll up your sleeve. Get vaccinated against COVID-19. Visit cdc.gov for more information. That's cdc.gov for more information.
Throughout this pandemic, you've stepped up when we needed you most. From testing to treatment, you've brought comfort to countless communities. And now, your efforts to help deliver millions of COVID-19 vaccines to your neighbors are making such a meaningful difference. To our Ralph's team of healthcare providers working across our pharmacies, thank you for continuing to rise to the challenge. Because of you, our better tomorrow begins today.
If you or your family have been financially impacted by COVID-19, this pandemic is not your fault. And new California laws have been passed to help.
That's right. If you've fallen behind on your mortgage or run up credit card or business debt, please listen carefully.
Our friends at Oak Tree Law know every letter of the new laws. And just listen to these real examples of how they've helped our listeners.
A nurse from Torrance had her hours cut due to COVID-19. She was hit with medical issues of her own, racked up $160,000 in debt, and fell behind on her mortgage. With this new law, she was able to get current on her mortgage and eliminate the bad debt.
Here's a story about a real estate agent and her husband in Pasadena. Their income stopped when the pandemic hit. Their second mortgage was threatening to foreclose, and they had $75,000 in credit card and business debt. This new law allowed them to protect their home and eliminate the debt.
This pandemic has affected us all, but there is life-changing help available with one absolutely free call to Oak Tree Law.
800-542-2949, 800-542-2949, or visit oaktreelaw.com.
Getting families vaccinated against COVID-19 is an important step to bringing back joy for all of us.
That's within reach now that the Pfizer vaccine is proven safe and effective for those 12 and older. This is the same vaccine millions of Californians have already gotten. California is even adding new vaccine clinics specifically for young people. Together, we can end the pandemic. Visit vaccinateall58.com or call 833-422-4255 to learn more.
Find the employees you need to get your business moving. Sign up with iHeartAdBuilder.com and create a custom radio ad to reach job seekers listening to stations just like this one. Get started today at iHeartAdBuilder.com.
KFI AM 640.
Talk to George Norrie. Call the wildcard line at 818-501-4109. The first-time caller line is 818-501-4721. To talk toll-free from east of the Rockies, call 800-825-5033. From west of the Rockies toll-free, call 800-618-8255. To reach George via Skype, use Skype name George97313. Send George a text message anytime at 818-298-6521. From the City of Angels, this is Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie.
Brendan Weichert with us. We're going to take calls with him this hour as we're talking about the very strange story of these craft, whatever they may be. We'll chat with him a little bit more and then take your calls on Coast to Coast AM. It may be the biggest cover-up of our time. With the coronavirus, was it created in a lab? And did the Chinese government hide the truth about all this? Now Steve Cortez and Jen Pellegrino give you the shocking news on their hit Newsmax show, Cortez and Pellegrino. Newsmax is already the fourth largest cable news channel in America. And all this week, Cortez and Pellegrino tell you the real story about the coronavirus that the big media will not tell you about. More than 30 million Americans watch Newsmax. It's great to watch. And it's now on all the major cable systems. And if your cable doesn't carry Newsmax, call them and just simply say, look, we want Newsmax, or we're going to switch cable companies. Newsmax, free on your smart TVs, Roku, Pluto, Xumo, or more. And remember, you can download the free Newsmax app on your smartphone right there and start watching anytime. Join millions of Americans turning off old cable news and going to Newsmax TV for real news that you can trust. Check out Newsmax today. Newsmax TV.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider and are only available if the provider determines a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The outrageously expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means you can get the prescription medication to treat ED at affordable prices. And Hims makes it extra affordable. You pay just $30 for a month's supply. And right now, get your first online doctor's visit totally free when you go to forhims.com/joy. That's right, free. Zero copay, no expensive appointments, no awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. Hims connects you to doctors online who can evaluate you and, if appropriate, prescribe your ED medication. And a pharmacy sends it right to your door. Hims makes it affordable, private, and incredibly easy. Nobody likes dealing with ED. Now, thanks to Hims, nobody has to. And that's really good news. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/joy. That's forhims.com/joy for your free online visit. forhims.com/joy.
welcome back to Coast. George Norrie with you. Brandon Weichert with us. Brandon, Peter Pry, who heads up a National and Homeland Security Advisory Board, believes strongly that these are either Chinese or Russian.
Yeah.
And, he's a pretty sharp guy.
He is. Yes, I think he's onto something.
And when you were approached by Newsmax for this article, how did they approach you?
They were aware of the work I've been doing, and they wanted me to comment on the Russian and Chinese angle. I sent them a much longer, it was a written interview, we did email, and I sent them a much longer sort of take in which I addressed also the other two potentialities, that it's ours or that it's extraterrestrial, but because of my specific areas of expertise, they really wanted to focus on China and Russia.
One of our guests, Nick Pope, was also highlighted in the same article you were. And, he's been a UFO buff for years. He used to work on the British Ministry of Defense UFO files.
Yeah.
And he thinks that these leaked conclusions are both, as he says, intriguing and disturbing.
Yeah.
So, and you basically have echoed that too.
Yeah. I don't know if we're ever going to get the full answer. I'm really not optimistic about the forthcoming report. I remember the 9/11 Commission. I remember the commission or the panel that was assembled to review WMD in Iraq intelligence, and it was far more comprehensive and far more, populated by top-tier researchers and people, and it had a lot of redundancies that allowed for them to get into the nooks and crannies of the bureaucracy. And that was for something that was significant but pretty short-term in terms of intelligence that they needed to glean. This is a phenomenon that we've been encountering for decades. And the idea that in 180 days they're going to compile the so-called truth is fanciful, I think.
Could you make missiles hypersonic as well?
Yeah, hypersonic kill vehicle. Yeah, it's basically, it's a delivery system for delivering ordnance over a target in under half an hour at, faster than the speed of sound. And it is truly revolutionary in its offensive capabilities that it would render a country deploying that system.
What do you think our military is doing right now?
Well, I think they're panicking.
If it's not ours.
Yeah, if it's not ours, I think that they're panicking, and I think they're trying to figure out, well, how do we overcome this threat? It's a gap that we've allowed to form in the national armor. And there certainly is a surge not only of interest but in investment in this technology. But, the last place you want to be is coming from behind. Now, that tends to be an American, a repeating theme in America's history, basically, where a rival gets a leg up on us and we come from behind. Think of...
Oh, like the Russians did to us with Sputnik.
Right. But, the problem is now, it's not one or two industries. It's like I said, biotech, nanotech, exotic materials, exotic technology in general. It's no longer only being developed here. It's now being developed in a bunch of places, and China's integrated into the world system so well that it can pull this information and these capabilities and sort of coalesce them in China and to build the next great, not only innovation like 5G, but also apply that to the national military, realm and really stymie us and give themselves hitherto unexperienced strategic offensive capabilities. It's very, very dangerous. And our military is, I know they're very concerned that maybe they missed something. 9/11, we missed something, and look what happened.
Big time.
And that is a very serious concern on the minds of many people who are in the intel and military services, especially those who have been on since at least 9/11, that they missed something back then. Are we going to miss something again? And I fear that we are. And it's partly because we don't understand, like I said, the civilian kind of economy, the competitive nature, the culture in China's R&D sphere, we just assume they're little, little ants, that they're just kind of, replicating what they see in the West. But it's much more than that. These are highly industrious, innovative people, and they have a history, 5,000 years of mostly greatness, and punctuated by a period of decline. And they blame us and the Europeans for that decline, a lot of it, and they want revenge. And they talk about this openly in their propaganda, and they teach their people this. And the regime there gloms onto it because that's a source of legitimacy in the eyes of their people, is inculcating the people there in this notion of never forget national humiliation, use it as a source to beat the Americans, and they're doing it.
If it's foreign, and I'll put that in quotes, I highly doubt if it's both Russian and Chinese. It's probably just one of the countries.
Right. Well, and in this conversation, we've really fixated on China, rightly so, but we should never forget the Russians. They are the inheritors of the Soviets' technology base, and the Russians are also a highly industrious people. They're a highly innovative people when they need to be, and so the Russians in particular for the last decade have really built out their own hypersonic capabilities. They've tested these weapons in the Arctic, fired them from submarines. So this is an understanding. That's why I bring up Russia along with China in my writings, because Russia has fixated also on a handful of high-tech areas like cyber, like hypersonic, artificial intelligence now they're starting to. And the space program, they're now partnering, Roscosmos, the Russian space program, is now partnering with China's space program to exclusively develop the moon, to create a manned base on the south pole of the moon by 2028. That I believe will be more than just a scientific research facility. It will be like staking out the water holes in the desert. They'll be mining for rare earths on the moon. They'll be, setting up potentially defensive perimeters, taking advantage of the Earth-Moon system for defensive and military purposes, using the moon to then leapfrog and go to Mars and beyond. And so Russia also has some areas of high-tech competitiveness that they are exploiting with great elan, and we should not forget the Russian bear.
Let's go to the phones for you now, Brandon. We'll do that for the rest of the hour.
Yeah.
Keith is in Dallas, Texas to get us started. Hi, Keith. Go ahead.
Hi, George. Hey. And so this question is kind of, I think for a lot of us fans of the subject matter, kind of an elephant in the room, because it concerns the breakaway civilization theory. Richard Dolan, of course, has talked about this on the program. And what I would like to know is, what do you think? Is it on a scale of 1 to 10, could essentially these advanced programs, covert programs, have broken off from the major governments of the world, the U.S. and the Soviet Union back in the day, stemming from Project Paperclip after World War II and beyond, and it became so compartmentalized and so broken off that what accounts for these sightings and this unidentified aerial phenomenon, could it actually be that it's another terrestrial power, the breakaway civilization beyond the control of any of the major geopolitical powers here on Earth?
Interesting take. I would highly doubt that, Brendan. What do you think?
I would say it's more likely, if it's ours, a compartmentalized agency or department within an organization of the U.S. government. I would remind the audience that the ATIP program, which is the Advanced Aerial Threat Identification Program, the former lead of which, Louis Elizondo, has kind of really taken this whole story of UAPs in the military public. Well, very few people knew about the existence of that $22 million a year program.
Within the government. They didn't know.
So we forget about that little fact, and we seem to not want to apply that logic to the fact that there could very well be one or more small groups of researchers and military people working on advanced technology. I would remind also the audience that at least at several points in the 1980s and 70s, People looking out at Area 51 thinking they were seeing UFOs were actually seeing very early prototypes of the stealth bomber, which we know was being built, well before the reveal of the plane was made to the public. And that technology was about 20 years, delayed in terms of revelation to the public. So I just always assume that I hope that our military is working on things that are 15 to 20 years ahead of what we have now.
You would hope so.
You would hope so. And if you assume that, and we look at, for instance, China and the real high technology that they're doing, why assume that they're incapable of it? Why assume even that the Russians are? Especially when you look at the Cold War heritage of Russia. Russia was, at one time, a very competitive technology power. It waxed and waned, especially as that regime waxed and waned. But still, there's elements of technological competitiveness there in specific areas with a regime that does not like us and resents American power on the world stage. And so we have to be open to the prospect that what we're witnessing is terrestrial, and if it is a U.S. military program, it might be so buried within the bureaucracy that even, the leadership isn't aware of it. And when they say we don't know what it is, they might not be lying because the right hand isn't talking to the left hand again.
Let's go to Daniel, truck driving in Bristol, Tennessee. Welcome to the show, Bren. You're on the air for us, Daniel.
Hey, George, how you doing?
Good.
Good, thanks for taking my call. Hey, I forgot to do a shout-out last night to all the veterans out there on D-Day, and even to you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Because I know you're Navy. I was Air Force. I retired. I'm a combat veteran myself. Did a little over 20 years.
Wow.
So, and they paved the way for where we are today. So I wanted to give a shout-out to that. There was an old thing that we had and when I was in Iraq with the Army and the Air Force, and they would always say hua, but we would say air power because hua was us.
That's good. I think President Biden forgot the D-Day yesterday.
Yes, I know. That was pretty sad. That was very shameful. But
his staff's got to remind him,
Yeah, go ahead.
But go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, for all of us that did serve, we make up for those that do forget. So we don't forget who they are. So, but my question to Brandon was earlier, because he did mention about the stealth fighter jet. Again, that technology was, like you said, 20 years in advance, and then, again, they let it be known later on to the public. But then think about, like, the B-1 bomber, the way how that looks. That looks like a UFO aircraft from the front, and then when it's flying in the sky, it's really weird, because when it turns it to a certain angle, it looks like a line in the sky.
Right.
And so, to me, I feel like that's our technology, inspired Air Force again. And it's like, why would you show your hand to the enemy anyway? I wouldn't expose that, and to downplay it is the best thing to do too, to always keep ourselves ahead of the game and keep ourselves abreast of the enemy.
Absolutely. And also, I mentioned, or someone mentioned earlier on in the show, the Phoenix Lights, and if you remember that image, it was a black triangle, like a giant version of the stealth bomber, hovering over Phoenix in 1997. And if you look at, and now it was flying a little bit differently. It was quiet. It was kind of floating almost, like it wasn't even really flying. But if you look at some of the so-called UFO patents in the Patent and Trademark Office from the U.S. Navy, the inertial mass reduction drive exhibits if it works, which I don't know, would exhibit very similar behaviors when put into action. And we know from the Popular Mechanics article on it that the Navy NavAir did actually demonstrate a working prototype of this device. And the gentleman who created it, Dr. Salvatore Pace, is now working. He left the Navy and is now working with the Air Force, who is also very interested in the technology that he purports to have developed. And if you read his PhD thesis from Case Western Reserve University, you see that back in the 80s he was talking about, overcoming friction with these sort of exotic technologies and fringe science, what we consider to be fringe science. Who's to say he didn't figure it out? And another thing, when I was talking to this group of Air Force guys on the West Coast, they were talking about how they had to upgrade the radar systems. And one of the problems they had was they needed to bring in the best of the best from Silicon Valley and from Seattle. The problem was those technicians, those computer programmers, because they were pot smoking or whatever, they couldn't get security clearances. So the colonel had to basically do a workaround where they could only look at one system. They had to be segmented away, and he said they resolved the problem in no time. And I told him, I said, just imagine if you had opened up the whole system to them. He said they would have completely rewritten our architecture and probably made the country 10 times safer, but I can't give them access because of the way our bureaucracy works. And we know for a fact that the government has within its own sphere access to researchers that the public does not, and vice versa. And so, there is a very real possibility that what we're witnessing, at least in part, are American technologies being demonstrated. It's just that the people seeing them, like Commander Fravor, like these other people in the U.S. military who see them, they don't know about these programs, and they can't process it properly.
Brandon, could this be Area 51 technology?
Certainly, and it's not just Area 51. I mean, we've got stuff out at, China Lake. We've got a bevy, 5 now, if you include Space Force. We've got a bunch of military operations as well as DARPA. And CIA has their Science and Technology Division, which helped create the SR-71, which remains one of the most amazing, aeronautical pieces of engineering that we've ever developed. So there's a bevy of government, private and government classified operations going on throughout the country, as well as in China and in Russia, any one of which could have potentially developed real game-changing technology like this.
Absolutely. Maureen's with us in Maui, in Hawaii, west of the Rockies. Hi, Maureen. Go ahead.
Hi, George.
Hi.
In 2002, President Bush was conducting the World Summit at the Museum of Natural History in Manhattan. I was walking on a side street and entering Park Avenue. There's a Catholic church on Park Avenue. Above the dome of the Catholic church was an air vehicle, black, totally silent, hovering, and in midair, and spectacular.
Was it ours?
Triangular. It had to be ours. He was there to
promote it.
World Summit.
Okay.
And to protect it. So he was spectacular and triangular. I must have looked dumbstruck because the pilot was hysterical laughing at me because I was walking right towards him.
Really?
He wasn't making noise or anything else. He was just there.
So he was looking down at you?
Nothing like it. Yeah, because we were coming basically face to face. Nobody walks on Park Avenue. And I'm coming towards him, and I must have looked absolutely dumbstruck.
How big was it? How big was it, Maureen?
It was a very good size.
Would you say as big as a regular plane?
Yeah.
And just kind of hovering up there.
Gorge.
Have you heard of this kind of technology, Brandon?
Well, I can't speak to her personal experience, but I mean...
It's weird.
We've, as I said, the technology that has been reported, at least by the military reports, hovering, rapid maneuvers, I don't know about this specific instance, but in the case of the documented recordings and whatnot, certainly, it's something. It's one of three things, either ours, China, Russia, or aliens. We cannot discount the extraterrestrial possibility, but we really need to first get to the bottom of whether this is either ours, which is the hopeful, or that it's a rival nation, which is a nightmare. And
could it be another country outside of Russia and China?
It might be.
That's a long shot.
Israel's got an incredible, technological capability. India is now developing.
India is. Japan is too. We're going to come back and take final calls with you, Brandon, in a moment on Coast to Coast FM.
Never miss a detail on a show or a guest. Sign up for the Coast Zone email newsletter. Available for free at coasttocoastam.com.
on the half. And when it breaks.
I'm Phil Hewlett from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Charges are expected to be filed today against two people arrested for the road rage shooting of 6-year-old Aiden Leos. Police think Marcus Aris fired the gun and Wynn Lee was driving. L.A. County Sheriff Alex Villanueva wants to clear all of the homeless people off of the Venice Boardwalk by July 4th. He also wants to convert empty L.A. city and county buildings into emergency housing. You don't expect to see this on the 5, but a driver was surprised to see a bear in lanes late last night. It was too late to react. The bear was struck and killed. The driver is okay, but the car's front end was severely damaged. Southland weather from KFI, cloudy and some drizzle this morning, partly to mostly sunny later. Highs in the upper 70s in the valleys and the IE, low 70s, Metro LA and OC, the mid-60s at the coast. A little warmer tomorrow. Right now, it is 58 in Fountain Valley, Lake Forest 55, Santa Monica 61, and in Acton, currently 54 degrees. We lead local from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Phil Hewlett.
Making our way through Sun Valley, northbound 170 at Sheldon, wrecked with an overturned car on the off-ramp. CHP and a tow truck are on scene. Look for little Gawkers block moving through on the main line. Full freeway closure in Burbank this morning, southbound side of the 5. All lanes shut down at Scott Road, kicking traffic off here as late as 5 for a Caltrans project. You can get back on at Verdugo. Heads up in Chino, westbound 60 just before Reservoir. You have a conked-out car. This is blocking the second lane from the right. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Ryan Duggan.
Hi, this is Larry Miller from Sit and Sleep. You know, there's a lot that's new at Sit and Sleep.
Yeah, like me. Hi, I'm Drew Miller, Larry's son, and I'm proud to be the third generation of the Miller family to work at Sit and Sleep.
Only Sit and Sleep has Bed Match that scientifically recommends the right mattress for you.
Plus, you can shop the way you want, in-store, online, or a combination of the two.
And we'll beat anyone's advertised price or your mattress is free!
You still got the pipes, Dad.
Thanks, son.
Getting families vaccinated against COVID-19 is an important step to bringing back joy for all of us. That's within reach now that the Pfizer vaccine is proven safe and effective for those 12 and older. This is the same vaccine millions of Californians have already gotten. California is even adding new vaccine clinics specifically for young people. Together, we can end the pandemic. Visit vaccinateall58.com or call 833-422-4255 to learn more.
Still buying bottled water? Really? Eliminate the cost and hassle of buying, well, it's wasteful plastic water bottles. Look what it does to the environment. So let me suggest a Life Source whole house water filtration system where you can have this delicious, clean, filtered water coming out of every tap in your home. And there are no filters to change. Once they install it, no maintenance at all. You actually forget about it. And what the Life Source water system does reduces the odor and taste of chlorine from your water. And not only are you hydrating your body, your skin, your hair will thank you too. You're buying directly from the factory, which provides installation and customer service for the life of your system. They've been around for 36 years here in Southern California, and if you're looking to join a growing team, Life Source is hiring team members in your area. Call 800-334-5009, 800-334-5009. Visit lifesourcewater.com. Life Source Water. Taste and feel the difference.
KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk.
You do scratch offs, Bella? You don't strike me as a woman who's in there scratching off with her coffee and her donut every morning.
The Tim Conway Jr. Show, weeknights at 6 on KFI. KFI AM 640. KFI AM 640.
It seems we stood and talked like this before. We looked at each other in the same way then, but I can't remember where or when. The clothes you're wearing are the clothes you wore. The smile you were smiling, you were smiling then, but I can't remember where or when.
line at 818-501-4109. The first-time caller line is 818-501-4721. To talk toll-free from east of the Rockies, call 800-825-5033. From west of the Rockies toll-free, call 800-618-8255. To reach